What's going on, YouTube? Zero Lead here, back again with the new video, episode 62 of the Disco Era U.S.S. Enterprise tutorial. I just want to thank you very much for tuning into today's episode, and if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And today we got a couple of things to work on. We're going to be doing about a 19-minute video. We're going to do some work on our lower hull airlocks. We're going to rework some of the engineering bay where we add those airlocks, and then we're going to rework the registration number going along the nacelles. In other words, the engines. So I got really lucky with this screenshot. I was telling you guys about it in the last couple of episodes. I actually had to rewatch part of season 2 of the Discovery just to get this screenshot because I was trying to figure out where exactly these airlocks are. Because if you look at any other screenshot or picture of the Enterprise, with the exception of this particular scene, it doesn't have them. And as I was watching it, it just pretty much occurred to me that they basically they're transforming doors and that they close and you can't see them, which I don't necessarily like, but at least it gives us something to go off of. What we're going to be doing isn't going to be an exact copy of where I have of where the two airlocks are. We're going to be focusing on the one in the front and the neck, and we're going to add 2 levels to that. And then we're just going to keep it simple because you can see here they have 4 different ports. And I mean, if we really wanted to, we can go through the trouble of adding in all 4 of them. But I think for the purpose of what we're going to be doing for the tutorial, I think anything really more than 4 is going to be overkill. So you can see I've got 2 gray areas here and here mapped out, but don't worry, I'm going to count this out here in a second so you can see exactly how far back you need to go. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So on the 9th and 10th, you have 2 rows. You're going up 1. When we make that cut in, now we're in our engineering. And it's the same thing on the bottom, except this one is right off the cut. It's a 9th and 10th one back. And we're going to get rid of those 2 4 blocks right there. Then we're going to start to rework some of this, fill in some of these holes. We're going to have to rework some of the area in there to accommodate these airlocks that we're making, and then we're going to slowly start to rework the engineering bay for this room specifically, just a little bit. We're going to be tweaking it. We're not going to be doing a drastic overhaul of it. We're not going to finish it in this episode, but we'll be starting it. I was going to do a light gray block going along the roof there, but that's going to stick out. We are going to add that on the outside in a moment, but we're going to end up doing that in white quartz because, and I'll go over that in a second, with the light gray on the outside, it just sticks out way too much. You see I'm just kind of doing a light gray line going along the floor with the exception of the roof. That's on the 3rd one back. And this is pretty much how we're going to be able to get inside of our ship, because obviously our shuttle bay has been closed off. Now, if you wanted to, you could open that back up, but I wanted to make sure I had that built on this specific ship, and we'll just make other entryway points. Now, you can see here I'm making that a dark gray line going around it, but I don't know, there's something about that dark gray outline. It sticks out like a billboard, at least for right here, and I don't feel like having this color going around the airlock is really what we need. We need something a little bit more subtle. So we'll be switching that in a few moments to the quartz slabs here in a moment. But we're going to still be using the same pattern. So if you want to do this in the quartz, you can do that as well. Oh, I took out an extra one. Let's fix that. And we're definitely moving along here, getting more stuff done on this ship, going off on the checklist. As soon as we get done with completing our airlock doors, we're going to work on the engineering bay in the next couple of episodes, slightly reworking that, not making drastic change to it, and just adding a couple more subtle details to the engines, last minute changes, and then we're going to get some more stuff done in the interior. We've got to do the bowling alley, still have to do crew quarters, and torpedo room. If there's anything else, oh, and the mess hall. If there's anything else you guys want to see me do on the interior, let me know. I think I'm still going to have a little bit of room left over, but um, I'm not trying to drag this tutorial out longer than it needs to be. I think once we get to that point, we'll pretty much have covered everything that needs to be on the ship, and I might start working on other stuff and um, maybe slowly at that point start, or at least slowing down the as many episodes a week that I'm having on Discovery, and then I'll start doing something else. But that won't be until we're at least pretty much done with everything. We still have a lot more to do, so Discovery episodes, I'm going to keep pushing those out Tuesdays through Fridays just to get the last of the episodes out. And then I'm going to be moving on to my next build, which still haven't started it yet because I still have a couple more things I have to do on the Discovery, but I'm pretty much still leaning towards Voyager or the Enterprise D unless something changes at the last second. But I know for a fact I'm going to do both those ships relatively soon. And I'm thinking about maybe I would like to do a couple more showcase videos. Um, and there's definitely going to be a showcase video on the Discovery Enterprise once I'm done with it. But maybe I might try to do some smaller mock builds in the meantime while I'm doing larger ones, because that is the one downside when I'm doing this full scale tutorial. When people ask for it, I mean, unless I had the tutorial in super fast forward where you couldn't follow along with me, just something this size, there was just no way to avoid it being, 60, 70, 80 episodes. So just kind of the way it happened. But I mean, I'm happy to do it. I mean, it's out there, so I'm seeing that the episodes they are picking up traction, which is cool, and I definitely appreciate everybody checking out my series. And I hope you appreciate the fact that I've stuck it out and I'm trying to go through and flesh out this ship as much as I possibly can. Um, you can see here on the airlock doors, hopping back and what we got going on a little bit. I'm switching the outline of my airlock to the quartz what I was talking about before, and I think that contrast now, it still sticks out um, in contrast to the white concrete, but now um, it's not so loud. I think that uh, the white quartz, it subtles it a little bit, but you can definitely, even from a distance, you can still see it. Now you saw that I closed off these the entryway points. We're going to be opening them back up in a minute. Just trying to get an idea of what they would look like closed, with the outline that we have on it. Pretty much if like they would get dulled out. And right now it kind of is a little bit. We do have to add more lighting on the lower hull here because it is dark in a couple of points here, but we can fix that. And I know that this part is a little bit dark. I apologize for that. I still have a couple more episodes that are pre-recorded, and not all of them are very long. I know I said in like the last episode I had like 15 of them. Now I'm down to 12, but not all those episodes are very long. Some of those are going to be condensed down in just to one. So not that many more of the pre-recorded stuff. Everything else after that's going to be brand new recordings, and we're trying to be finishing up and stuff in one session as much as I possibly can and keep that as bright as I can, or at least lit up to a point where you guys can easily see it. Um, but I think I have enough. I think we're pretty good right now, just in like one or two spots. You can see I'm starting to add in our flooring here, a simple staircase going down, too wide, right off of our entryway point. Now it doesn't match it, and that's where our shift is going to come into place, because we're going to have to be moving that wall back to the right here so that it's not kind of gapping over our airlock door, because it looks out of place like that right now. And I mean, you could technically leave it like that, but for me, I mean, I want to change that, so I'm gonna pretty much at this point just literally build everything back by one. So we're gonna start with the outline for our deflector array or deflector control thing, whatever you'd call this thing that's connected to the deflector dish that powers it, the inner workings of it. And not a subtle, not a ton of work here. We literally just have to add one row, and that should do it. Shouldn't have to do anything more than that, because once we add in another row of this dark gray, then we're going to go along the sides and do the white concrete behind that, and then we can go in the engineering bay and we can shave off part of the wall. But we need to make sure that we're filling in all of our details right now. So you can see now I'm hitting the light gray. So now when we go in with the white concrete and start filling that in, it'll match exactly what we had before. Be just a little bit thicker. And this is a neat little cheat that you can do in similar situations. I've done this a couple of times in different areas. It just it saves you time from drastically making changes, because you could have done this in another way, and this is just a really simple solution of just adding another layer behind it and slightly shifting the wall back. All right, we're almost done. Just have to add in our lower layer now. Remember, again, we're just adding in one row. Make sure that you're not covering your dark gray line here going on the bottom. All right, cool. Now we gotta get the left side. We are rocking. And not a super long video today, and we're definitely cruising along right through it. We've got about 8 or so minutes left, but we still have some stuff to do. All right, and one more row, and we're done. Oh, we got just one more patch right here, I think, and then we'll be done. And we can go to the other side, and it'll be one or two things we have to do before we can shave off the wall, and then we can go right in there and take care of that. So let's hop over there. So let's start with the doorways here. We're gonna work our way in. Make sure not to get rid of this arch. When I delete one, I'm gonna delete one behind it too. And I'm gonna replace that with the light gray. You can see I'm not doing it right here right now. I don't wanna go all the way through. I wanna stop one before. It's only taking off 2 rows back. Come back in a moment with the light gray and fill that in. There we go, straight across. Then we can take out the underside. Make sure not to to delete the light gray blocks that we just added. Just want to delete the stuff that's inside that. So this way we have exactly what we had before. See, now what we're doing, now we're opening up this wall here to where when you come into the ship, you're not seeing half of a wall, and it's going to look nice and clean. We're going to continue. We're going to go all the way up to the roof. Make sure we don't delete any of the black blocks, even though we are going to rework a couple of those before this episode is over. We're going to get rid of that white concrete. Now we're going to move the stairs over. We're gonna get one row off the right side. Just keep it 2 wide. Don't need anything more than that. I think three is just a little bit too much, at least for the staircase. And I'm sure somebody's gonna ask me why I don't have my airlocks level with my engineering, and the reason for that is because um, it doesn't look good on the outside, the level that I have them with going along the cuts of the ship. And I actually later on after this, I tried to rework them a couple of times, and I ended up going back to this just because on the outside, we're not done with it. We're going to slightly adjust how the airlocks look on the outside to look a little bit better, but it doesn't look right if we bring it down. Like the way that it cuts into that wall that's essentially going along the engineering bay on both sides of the lower hull. It looked really weird to me. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to add in the stairs, make it part of the ship, and just own it. And it doesn't look bad. It has a very retro feel to it, I think. Just rocking that for this whole build, I think that, totally suits it. And yeah, I mean, I think this looks pretty cool. This ship actually has more airlocks than my Enterprise A. I think I only made two airlock points, but I didn't go to the lengths that I really went through on this build to really make the airlocks work. And I really had actually, this was probably the one thing that I did not plan out ahead of time super early on, and I wish that I kind of had, but at the same time, I didn't have the screenshots to go off of. And I waited too long. That should have been something that, as soon as I was down in the lower hull, well, put it this way: as soon as we started work on it in our engineering room or any area on the interior, I should have had that mapped out beforehand. So that's just something for me now as a builder going forward to know, okay, this mess didn't mess up my build, but it kind of put a wrench in it for a little while. Now going forward, I need to make sure that as soon as I start my interior on my lower hull, my ships, I need to get my airlocks mapped out a little bit better. So this way it's not so much of a chore to make it part of the ship, is basically what I'm getting at. Because this is where, it can be pretty much where it can make it or break it with your ship. It's all about how to make your ship flow from beginning to end walking through it. Because, like, um, I think maybe the Enterprise A was like one of the only ships that like really had staircases like that. Maybe the Enterprise D had them. I don't know. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments section. But if you look at it, like there's really not a lot of that. Like the ships, like level to level, like it's just flat, corridors and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think for what we're doing here, it's not going to look bad. And when it's done, we still, because like I said, we have a little bit more stuff to do here in engineering now that we've added these airlocks, but we're pretty much almost there. We don't have to do that much more actually. Because technically, I mean, you could, if you are very happy with this, you could leave it exactly how it is, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye at it. But I think I want to change one or two things, slight changes to try to bring it to the next level as much as I possibly can. One of the previous episodes, we had went out through the shuttle bay, so I'm just closing that up. And I think we're going to be hopping over into the last part of our build for today's episode, and we're going to slightly rework the registration number going along our engines here. And we're pretty much just going to be making them a little bit more solid. I don't like how they have the cuts on here. It looks a little bit too binary, and it's something that the Enterprise doesn't have. Yeah, this is going to make them look a little bit more square what I'm doing here. We're literally just getting rid of the corners and filling it in. And the 7, we're just going to get rid of the angle, make it straight. I think it just looks a little bit more natural, I guess. I was going to say military, but that's definitely not what you'd want for the Federation. But I think that what I was trying to get at is I think that looks better. I think that looks way better now um, than what I had just a second ago. Yeah, because something about this with the registration, it looks pixelated. And that's something I don't like. I mean, obviously, I mean, if I'm playing Minecraft, I picked the wrong game for that. But at the same time, when I'm playing here, one of the challenges that I challenge myself when I'm playing this is how can I build this in a way where it doesn't look super pixelated? And I don't think I always achieve that in every regard, every single part of the ship, but I try to give it as much shape as I possibly can. Is pretty much what I'm trying to get at. And I think that that change right there with the registration number going along there looks great. Adding in the airlocks there, we're definitely rocking and rolling here. We've gotten a lot done, and if you've built this along with me, you should be pretty proud of yourself because now you've built yourself pretty much almost completed uh, Disco era enterprise. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for episode 62. I just want to thank you again for tuning into today's episode. And if you did enjoy today's content, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow for episode 63. In fact, you can always catch new Minecraft episodes Tuesdays through Fridays. And don't forget, I also have my Starship Evo builds on Mondays. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. Just want to thank you guys and girls again for tuning into today's video. Hope everybody has a great and safe week, and I will catch you on tomorrow's episode.